And here we go, guys. Yo, we are live. I think it could be that we have we have a wrong announcement for that. Because I'm switching between different kind of live channels. So it could be that it still is being announced as a one Munich channel. That's not true. Because today I'm really proud and I'm really looking forward to show you a guy that I know for a few years now, and he's a big number in the gamification scene. So probably all of the people knows him, and but he's really specialized in additionally in escape rooms. So he has an amazing building. I saw some photos and footage, and he uh, was able to talk with him a lot about that. About his own escape room location. So I'm pretty sure he will tell us a little bit about that in a minute. And of course, now as we are fighting all the same situation, I think it was a no-brainer for him to come up with something that you can do at home. And of course, as he's very good in doing escape rooms for companies, organizations, but also for his own location at his place. Of course, it was, I think, a no-brainer to say, hey, we can build that also for living rooms. And this is what we will talk about now. So please welcome Michiel van Eunen. Michiel, hey, nice to meet you.
Good afternoon.
Good.
Good sunny afternoon.
Yeah, true, it is. It really is. It really is. So how are you doing? How is your family doing? How are you handling the situation?
We're doing relatively well here in the Netherlands. I just spoke to a colleague of ours this morning who's in Madrid, who's in the epicenter.
Okay.
Totally different situation. So everyone is experiencing in the wrong way. But where I am in the Netherlands, we're doing relatively well. So how are things in Germany?
Oh, they're pretty strict. So of course, we are allowed to go out, but we are asked not to do that. It's not allowed to do parties anymore, to meet in groups on the street, whatever. So they're very strict on that. I think compared to other countries with the numbers, I think we're doing pretty well so far. But of course, there are different kind of predictions if that's just the beginning, or if you're just over the peak, already over the peak, or if we will handle it like we did in the past, or if it will just go down now over the summer and then in the autumn it will go back again. So we will see how that works out. But
Yeah.
to be
But
honest,
it,
I love crisis. They are amazing opportunities for people like us. So
in a way.
yeah,
But
sure.
it is true that you see that there are restrictions everywhere on social interactions that have a big impact on our daily lives.
Yeah.
And I think especially so when you have kids. I know you have kids, I have kids, and I see a lot of people, normally you would send your kids off to school and then you'll have nothing to worry about for a few hours and you can just do your work. And that has changed for a lot of people, right?
Right. That's true. That's totally true. So, the I already mentioned that we will talk about escape rooms, not only but mainly we will also talk about your newest, how do you say it, product invention, baby, the living room, the home escape room, whatever. So, probably your family had already to test it, right?
I think, yeah, of course. They designed it even.
Oh, really?
So, but I can tell you more about it when we talk about that. But yes, I have my company together with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
partner in crime for like 15 years. So we're both game designers.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter who's very creative, Nova, she's 11, and a son, he's 8 year old, and he's a gamer.
Okay.
He is fond of games. So when we design or talk about games, they're involved.
So it's a family business.
In a sense, it's a family business, yes.
Okay, and that's interesting because I think so. So this is something that I always wanted to ask you because it's also very important for my work, but it's probably one of the most tricky stuff. Is how do you come up or how do you handle the difficulty level if you don't know exactly for whom you are building that, and especially now if there are millions of people trying to use it at home with different kind of age groups, whatever. Um, so how are you handling that kind of skill level balance, difficulty balance, whatever?
Yes. So in this specific case, we made something for the family. So let's say we would make it relatively easy. If you are going to play this new escape room for home, for instance, then, well, if you would play it with a group of your friends, in our age, we would say it's relatively simple.
Okay.
But the fun, of course, is in discovering it together. And sometimes I am even surprised when I play together with my kids that they know things that I don't know, or that they have a way of looking at a puzzle or a problem that I haven't thought of. So approaching that together, that's very great. And we do have some experience on how that works. So we intentionally built to facilitate that.
Yeah. So over the time, when it takes longer to build that kind of game, the one special game, becomes it more difficult for you to look at it from an objective point of view? Because of course, if you already know the riddles, if you know the story, you know the solution probably while building of course, you know the solution while building the challenge, and so is it? I think it's one of the hardest things to think about. Would it be too hard or too easy if I wouldn't know the solution already?
The most interesting about an escape room, which I do a lot, whether it's a static escape room in one location or a more virtual or online escape room or a pop-up escape room, or for this instance, an escape room at home, is that you have so many variables.
Yeah.
So you don't talk about one level. There are a lot of little puzzles. And for instance, when we did this escape room, of course, we did some baseline ideas. We have a good feeling because we have this experience of the level of the puzzles. So we did a number of play tests, and the first play test, people reported, oh, it would be great if you would make this puzzle and this puzzle a little bit harder.
Okay.
And so we can tweak one or two puzzles and just put an extra layer on top of it. Maybe if you have to make a number, which is in this escape room, and then you have to combine it with another puzzle to rearrange the numbers. So then I can just make things a little more difficult or a little more simple. So I've got a lot of knobs to tweak with.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay, thanks for answering that. That was my already nerdy questions from my point of view as a designer. So now for the people out there, I'm pretty sure there are not many. You still have to explain that, but please do it in your way. What is an escape room?
An escape room is a game that you play with a team, usually in a room or a location where you are locked in and you have the objective to get out, usually in 1 hour. That's the basic idea of an escape room.
Okay, so sounds pretty an amazing context about the situation right now for you. Okay,
Yeah.
locked in, trying to escape.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure as long as we have that kind of situations, some family members are trying to escape, probably to go
Yes.
out. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, so as a background, now we know what an escape room is. Now you have your amazing location to do that. Please, can you tell us a little bit about that?
About work location, I'm actually in one of my escape rooms right now. I have a 100-year-old botanical greenhouse. It's called the Winter Garden.
It looks so amazing. I saw the
Yeah,
photos.
maybe if I can just lift this
Oh,
up
yes,
and
please.
I don't know if this is possible, but what can you still see in the background?
So the whole thing,
Maybe,
is the
maybe
escape room.
no. I'm just going to walk with you for a second.
Yeah.
If you still bear with me. So, I'm walking through the greenhouse right now, and the most interesting thing to show you right now, if I turn a little, is this immensely palm tree that's in my tree house.
Crazy. Love it.
So, and I walk this way just for the view. Here in the back, oops, can you see it? Yeah,
Yeah.
here in the back, I've got two other small greenhouses, and I built those as an escape room in the complete greenhouse.
Okay, I see.
We'll get back there. Oh, this is my just for the interesting. This is the green wall,
Wow,
living
that's
green wall.
amazing.
So I get back into one of my escape rooms. So I made two identical escape rooms here. They're both greenhouses, and that's because of the backstory. I really love it when I design an escape room, especially static escape room, that I involve the story and the background and the history.
Okay.
Because whenever and wherever you are, you can never deny you being part of the game and the location where you are. So those are always fixed, and very few games acknowledge the fact that you as a player have a role in a game, and that the location where you are is also important context.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of games, developed games for old cities, for instance, the inner city of Munich or Amsterdam. The fact that you are there and that it has its history, and that, you know, the place where you are right now, that witches were burned there somehow, you know, 3 ages ago. They're all important, and they do something with you from a player experience perspective. So back to where I am right now. We have a greenhouse, and it was part of the university, the Utrecht University, and there was a professor here who did all kinds of crazy discoveries, so about 100 years ago. And obviously that would be what we made the escape room about. So you see in the background right now are all puzzles with are part of the laboratory of the professor.
Okay. That's amazing. I totally agree. I think this is not only true for your stuff. I think this is also true for every time if you're designing an experience, let it be for learning environment, whatever. Everyone is only focused on the actual content itself. Yeah? And then, of course, you know, we all of us know content is king. But the point is, from my perspective, at the end, context is God. If the context is really not matching the content, or if it's not preparing yourself or making it easier for you to get immersed in the context itself, it will work against each other. But on the other side, if the context is already amazing, so already really triggering you in the right way, for example, even if the content then is a difficult one to being immersed into, or if it's not really well designed, the context is already saving a lot of the experience. And
It's
so,
part of the experience, true.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, I have to admit, it's also, I think for you, it's totally no-brainer. But I have to admit that talking with a lot of experienced designers, or also in companies, if they are trying, okay, have to make it a little more interesting or whatever, any kind of situation, they are only focused on the content itself and not on the touch points on the outside, or thinking about how is someone going into the experience and how is someone going or exiting the experience. So I think this is already so amazing. And so everything you said, so I think just the example that you built, so the places the chambers, the escape rooms that you built into the place, is already an amazing example to show that. Okay, cool. So of course, probably you have the same problems like most of the other businesses, stores, whatever. Now it's difficult with customers coming to your place, right?
True. We had a restriction. I was here Sunday a week ago, or was it the week before? I think it's always 2 weeks ago, I guess. The 15th Sunday at 5:30 in the afternoon, our president had a press conference saying, as of 6 o'clock in the evening, that was 30 minutes after the press conference. All locations have to be closed, all cafes and restaurants, and also event location like mine. So I really had to, shove out very gently my last customers. And as of then, we were out of business because of Corona. So, and at the moment, you can't have more than 3 people grouping together.
Yeah.
In any location. And of course, for months now, any event with more than 3 people is cancelled. So all escape rooms in the Netherlands, for instance, are also out of business.
Okay. Because they were never designed for an experience only for one person?
No, never. No, of course. And per definition, you are with a group of 5, 6, or 7 people in a very tiny space, like for 30, 20, 10 square meters. So you're always on top of each other. So in the Netherlands, and I probably in a lot of locations, we have social distancing. You need to have at least 1.5 meter between people nowadays because of the coronavirus. So you really can't have multiple people together unless it's your own family and you are in your own home.
Okay, I see. I see. Sure. So that's the perfect thing for you because it's a family business. So you can do both. You can combine it.
Yes.
Perfect. So okay, starting with your project that we are talking about now or today. So who came up with the idea, or was it an immediate thought that you said, okay, if we can't do it here, this place, let's build something for the people at home?
I think the day after, I just told you about the day we locked down Sunday 2 weeks ago. Then on the Monday, we had a talk with all people working in our teams. And first, of course, we had coffee and cried and thought about what we're going to do. And I had to send most of the people home, but my core team, we thought, okay, what can we do? Um, and I think already Sunday evening, we thought we could do something at home for families, especially for families, because also the schools were closing. So we knew that a lot of families would be at home with kids. And being at home with kids while you're not used to it, it can be very daunting. So I think the first idea we had that Sunday evening, and then we just thought about it on Monday. We knew one thing, that if you were going to make something, it had to involve a theme park or an amusement park. It was the idea we had.
Yeah.
So then on Tuesday we started working on it, and within 4 days we launched an online, no, not an online escape. We launched an escape room to play at home
Okay.
called The Greens.
Yeah. That's the point. Let me switch back. Sure, that was our starting point. Okay, we can. The countdown is over. The Greens solving problems is in their genes. So it's about the family, the Greens, right?
It is. You want me to tell something about the Green family?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'll tell you a bit about the backstory then. So there's this. You probably, Roman, as I know your age, you probably know the A Team, right?
Yeah,
The
of
series from the 80s.
course.
You know that?
Yeah.
So you always had this introduction of the A Team. If you have nowhere else to turn to, there's always, and if you can find them, there's the A Team. You know.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be cool if there would be a family. So you're not like four guys in a van, but a family, mom, dad, two kids. Um, Quite a normal family, regular family, but they have amazing skills to solve problems. And if you have a real big problem, if you have a safe that you inherited and you can't crack it, or you have any other problem and you have tried everything, then you can still call the Greens, the Green family. So they can solve stuff, and they have their own tagline that they can do it within the hour. Whatever the problem is, how big your problem, they can solve it in the hour. So that's the Green family. And for this particular story, they are asked by director Amber, who is the director of an amusement park, to help her. Because in 1 hour, her park will open and the mayor will hand out an award because they're the most amazing amusement park.
Okay.
And also more than hundreds of children will be in the park. But the park has been sabotaged by their competitor. And now most of the attractions don't work. And she has to turn on the attractions, but the electricity house can't be opened because it has a code, and also the code has been changed. So she has a big problem. Director Amber really has a problem with, she cannot open her park unless all attractions are being fixed, and you'll get the code to the electricity house to turn everything back on. And here's where you come in.
Perfect. That's an amazing introduction. Okay, so I imagine everyone in the family. So we as a people who want to play the escape room now, we are the Greens.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how many people? So does it matter if it's about 2 people, 4, 6?
Any escape room, any regular escape room is great with teams between 3 and 6 people,
Okay.
and this is about the same. So if you would have 1 or 2 or 3 kids, then it would be great.
Okay, yeah. So of course nowadays the main target group that you have to satisfy, I think, yeah, and save their day for at least
For
an
one
hour,
hour.
for one
So
hour.
that's what for this escape room, people are not escaping, a room. They are escaping this crazy reality we live in right now for 1 hour. So that's the escape we offer.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so how can people get started playing the game? What are they supposed to do? What's the first step?
So, well, first of all, get your hands on the game. So you
How?
can, it's at thegreens.online. You can download it there. And then you have to print it out. I think it's 15 sheets. So if you don't have a printer, find someone with a printer. So in the Netherlands, we also have a service that we can print it out and send it to you. But yesterday we opened the international version, so we immediately had like orders from like Egypt. So we are not going to send it all over the world, but they can download it. You have to print it out, and then you have. I don't have the materials here. I see. Never mind. You will have a map of the theme park, and you have all kinds of attractions on the kitchen table.
Okay.
And there's an introduction letter by Mrs. Amber, and you have to solve problems and puzzles on each of the attractions. So there would be a shooting gallery, and there would be a petting zoo, and everything you would find in an amusement park. And everywhere you have to solve something. And meanwhile, you can talk to Mrs. Amber, the director of the amusement park, via chat. We had at the Greens Online / Adventureland, we have a chat where you can chat online. It's an intelligent chatbot of Mrs. Amber. You can talk to her. So you can ask her for hints, and she knows the park very well. So if you type in like a shooting gallery or whatever you see on the map, she will answer you. And also you have to give her 3-letter codes that translate into a number that you have to put in the code log for the electricity house.
Okay. That's amazing. You even did a chatbot. So how long did it take you to come up with from the beginning the first idea to do that? So until the time they can download it.
It took us exactly 4 days.
4 days
to do this. 4 days.
So coming up with a story, thinking about the challenges, creating the chatbot, doing the visualization, the visual stuff, creating the website. Wow.
And the play tests, yeah.
Of course, and the play tests.
And the play tests. So actually, we were at like 90% on Thursday evening within 3 days, and then the most important part is the play testing and the iterating. We made quite a few changes after the play test because, as you would know, if you make an experience, you may never think that you created the most awesome experience. You made something with the experience that you've got, and now people play, and people gave us a lot of great feedback, and a lot of it we immediately could incorporate because, like I told you, we had a lot of knobs to tweak, very little things that you could easily tweak. And because we did it all ourselves, including the artwork and the chatbot, for instance, we could iterate very, very fast. Like within an hour, we would have a new version.
Okay. So that means that. So who is doing the play tests? Friends of the family?
Yeah, friends and family, of course. Yes. Yeah, so people know that we do these things, and of course we know, as I am a dad of 2 kids, we know a lot of people around who are sitting at home with 2 kids and who know that we make escape rooms. So we just send it out, and
cool.
And people will provide us with feedback immediately.
Cool. What's the earliest age that we would recommend? A kid should be that you can play it.
That it depends on 2 things: how smart the kid is and how smart the parent is. so
25.
I would suggest from 6 up. It's interesting,
Okay.
because that's when kids start to read. Although there is very little text in the chat in the game, except for the chatbot. If you have smart kids, even 4 or 5 year olds, together with a smart adult, can easily do the escape room.
Okay.
And it's for the same reason that I told you before, that kids can be surprisingly smart and see things that some adults don't. For instance, have you ever played memory with your kids? You have to, the game that you have to turn two identical
I know.
papers.
I'm not saying.
Kids are freakingly good at that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they love it, and yeah. So we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So of course, while the 3-year-old tries to find the picture, the 1-year-old is already putting it all back in the box. So
Yes.
that's the challenge there. But the point, and another question is, do I have to prepare anything in the room? So is it just have print it out and get started, or do I have to? Do I need additional
So
tools or whatever?
you need a few additional tools. You don't have to redecorate your home. So it's just a kitchen table, but it would be smart to have some things on hand. Of course, you need a screen with an internet connection for the chat. A pair of scissors is interesting. Pens, paper to write on. Just some materials you will find in any kitchen drawer or at your in your home.
Okay.
Maybe a paper clip, something to fold. Maybe water. I don't know.
Okay.
Things
Cool.
you'll have at home.
Perfect. Yeah, sure. Now, what I really love about live streaming is that we hopefully have some people who are a little bit engaged, listening to it, asking some questions. We already got the first question. Um, Let me see if I can. Let me edit so that you can see it too. Do you see it? Oh, it's.
I trust you.
No, no. Let me. I just change the. Let me change the color. Okay, it doesn't work. So do you see that?
I see.
Yeah.
I
Can you please recommend me top 3 gamification books which are easy to understand? Okay, so I would say let's do it with gamification books, of course, and perhaps. So now, sorry, I have to change it. I have to learn how I can make that
Yeah, of
better. So
course.
but and then I would say so Food Pro. Thanks for the question. And then I would say
Yes.
perhaps you have also something for. Are there some kind of books out there for getting started as a escape room designer?
Yeah, well, of course, you can also answer the question because I think we share a lot of the same knowledge. Uh, I quite often laugh when I get questions like this because it assumes that you can learn a lot about gamification just by, sitting in your chair reading a book. And of course, you can get some theoretical backgrounds on the dynamics of gamification. If you're in if you want to approach it in a more theoretical way, of course, that's fine. I'm more of the hands-on approach.
Yeah.
So if you want to do anything with gamification, as soon as possible, just start doing stuff and share it with people and people you respect or know are very good at gamification. Back to the sources, things that and maybe you can suggest some of yours, Roman. Of course, would be Jane McGonigal.
Yeah. As an inspirational start, it's amazing.
Yes, yes. The title of the book. What's the title of the
The
book again?
reality is broken.
Reality is broken. Yes, of course. And what I really love is Jesse Shell, The Art of Game Design, the Book of Lenses.
Okay, but this is already so you really need how many pages does it have?
I don't know. I think there are more than 100 lenses in that book.
Yeah,
I
that's a
know.
huge one, and I think it's so it's not particular for gamification, but by learning, Jesse
Nope.
Schell is an amazing game designer. So by reading that book, I would you're right. I also would really recommend it. It's a whole macro level view on the whole idea of game design, and also you have some micro views. So that's amazing. Okay, so we have two. the third
Yeah.
one?
Well, on that, what I really love about Jesse Shell is that he has a deck of lenses. You can also get it as a card deck, and more interesting, even you can download the app. It's free from the App Store, so it has hundreds of cards, 100 cards, each with a question on them. So it's all a perspective or a lens through which you can look at your designs. So if you start out by designing a game, which can be a very simple puzzle, right? And you do that from from a certain perspective. Maybe it's content, maybe you want to learn a certain skill. Then this deck learns you to look at your design from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse Shell has 100 different angles to look at your design. Ask yourself as a designer the question, what if this, and do you do look at it and is it still interesting?
Yeah.
For instance, one of my favorite lenses of Jesse Shell is lens 14. It's called the lens of the toy. And the lens of the toy says, if people wouldn't know anything about the content, if they wouldn't know what it was about, would your design still be interesting to play with? So not to play, but to play with. Would your 1-year-old pick it up and say, oh, this is colorful, this is interesting, I want to play with this, I want to engage with this. So it has to do about the aesthetic attractiveness of your game elements. Do I want to engage? So I really love it when games are well designed, but also have a very nice touch and feel. And even, especially when we did this one for kids, it has to be super attractive. Even without knowing what you're going to do, you're going to have something like, okay, I want to do this. This looks fun and colorful. And yes, where can we start?
Yeah.
So
I totally agree. But there, I think it's coming back already a little bit about what you already talked about the context. Because sometimes, of course, if you know your target group, and then so you know the context that the target group is in there, by taking that kind of lens, you're also thinking about, okay, does it match the context where they are in? And so that helps you for also that the target group is going to accept it. So for example, if let's say you're building something that's gamified, or you're creating a gamified project that's for, let's say, engineers from the automotive industry, yeah, then of course by looking at that kind of lens, through that kind of lens, you can think about, okay, should we be too colorful from the beginning? Because then perhaps they would think, okay, it's a little bit childish, whatever. Or how can we get started so that it looks a little bit more serious for them, and then over time we can change it for perhaps a context again. Yeah, that's cool.
So let's get to book number 3.
Yes, please.
Would you have a suggestion?
That you would, okay, book number 3. So is it a typical gamification? So is it a gamification book?
I'm just asking, do you have a suggestion?
What you would?
I would have a suggestion, but it's not a book. But what would you recommend?
I thought you were asking me what I think you would know.
No.
Okay, then you already mentioned 2 very important ones. I would recommend A Theory of Fun from Ralph Koster, because I think what I really like. So actually, first of all, I love Ralph Koster. I think he's smart. He has an amazing view on game design. And what I really love about his book is, if you read it, I think it's easy and entertaining to read. And what I really was fascinated about is that he's really talking a lot about the psychology of books, the neuroscience part, so what's happening inside the brain. And what I love about that kind of approach is that it helps you to learn that what makes a game is not depending on what you see on the screen. Games weren't invented by the game industry. We are playing games since the beginning of humankind. So the interesting question is what happens inside the brain while we are in a, let's say, game-like situation, or something that we experience game-like. And by doing that, it always helps me thinking about his book and thinking about what I learned there, so that I'm not getting started, I'm not focused too much on the how does it look like, but more on the mechanics that have to transport the experience. And then I'm looking at, okay, can we make it beautiful or whatever? Yeah.
Nice, good suggestion. If I have a bonus note tip for the moment, Of course, as a game designer and as a gamification designer, you design for humans. Yeah, it's human focused design, and that's also a great perspective to start there. So my tip, especially right now, is go to Netflix and watch the series 100 Humans.
Ah, okay. Okay. I don't know that.
Okay, it's an experiment. It's a series about an experiment where they take 100 humans and do all kinds of experiments on them. What is interesting that while they do the experiments, afterwards they interview some leading scientists in the field. One of them is or was Dan Pink, which is a great influential scientist and speaker on motivation and what works and what not. So motivation is one of the subjects, but still all the experiments are very interesting because you have this frame of 100 people. So that would be the test group, and they look at what motivates people, how do people behave under stress, and it's if you just learn about people and how people behave and what drives them and what they think is fun and how groups work together, if you learn about that as a game designer and as a gamification designer, that's so very insightful. And it's a great tip, and it's great fun to watch these days when you're still at the couch and you can't get out.
That's a perfect advice. And I would add another one that I got from you also. Who was, and I just can't remember the guy anymore. Who was the guy? You told me about a guy who has a fan TV show series where he's trying to, yeah, he's creating immersive situation. You know who I mean?
Yeah, yeah, the
Okay,
Darren Brown, of course.
perhaps
Yeah.
Darren Brown. Yeah, can you tell us something about him?
Just look him up on the internet. He also has some experiments that are live on Netflix. So please watch The Push.
Yeah,
Very,
that's
very great. The Push and Fear, and there are real big experiments, but also experiences. It's also great to look at those programs from an experience design perspective. It's amazing what he puts together as an experience for sometimes even one person or for a group of person. He directs an experience from a psychological and entertainment perspective, and also as a magician and a behavioral perspective. It's great fun to watch, and it's always thrilling to see what he comes up with and how people behave under certain circumstances. So watch all the stuff by Darren Brown.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thanks, Food Pro. He answered. What has he written? Thank you very much. By the way, I'm your ex-student. Oh, thanks. From the exchange program at Music Business School. Your subject drew my attention to gamification. I'm really, yeah, thanks. Glad to hear that. Thanks for your question. Thanks for looking. And if you, yeah, follow Michiel van Eunen, his stuff on social media also, you will learn a lot about that kind of topic and subject. Perfect. Thanks. Okay, great. Then let's go back to your home escape room. And
Yes.
so far, okay, this is one story. It's built. It's. But of course, if I need, do I have to put a watch for 1 hour, and then if I can't solve it in that time, I lost, or what if it takes longer for me to solve it?
Yes, yes. You can set the timer for an hour. So far, most of the teams or families that got out within the hour. If it takes you a little longer, hey, who cares? Then those kids have to wait to get into the amusement park. It doesn't matter that much, right? I think you would even be glad as a parent if it takes 5 minutes longer. so
Yeah, sure. Do you?
so it is, of course, you as a parent are an actor in the escape room, so you're part of the experience. So if you make it important that it's fixed in an hour, then you can put that in to excite your kids, depending on how your kids are, how they are, how they experience time pressure, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you already said it. You're part of the experience as a parent. So if I have played the game, if you have solved it or not or whatever. So are there some kind of advices you would tell the parents either way to how they could increase the challenge of this one story if they would like to replay it, or um, how easy is it, or not how easy is the wrong question, but uh, what would you recommend if I would say, okay, it was an amazing experience. Now, perhaps tomorrow I can do the second level or whatever.
Yeah, well, for this there is no second level, but depending on how big the engagement is, there might be new challenging waiting for the Green family.
Okay,
So it might be that next time someone's grandfather who was a bank robber in a former life still has a stash somewhere that he can get to, or someone else with a big problem. Maybe we will even crowdsource ideas for the family green. So if you have a great problem, then we can make a game around it. I don't know.
okay, that's perfect. Let's make an announcement for that. So you would be
Yes.
open for ideas, for yeah.
Absolutely. If we have a new game idea, and we will mention you. If you have a really great idea, then we will mention you somewhere in the text, or even maybe in a puzzle. I did it before that. We at the escape room where I'm in right now. We also did something like that. We had people put in their voice in the telephone. So just to show you, because it's a lovely, great object. So can you see the telephone right here?
Oh yeah, an old
Uh,
traditional one.
it's a very old traditional telephone,
Kids can't use
and
that anymore today.
but it works. It does work. But the interesting is a lot of young kids even don't know how to operate an old-fashioned
That's the
telephone.
challenge of the escape room. Use
Yes.
the telephone.
So and if you dial a certain number, you get a voice, someone talking to you.
Okay.
And people who were part of our crowdfunding platform, actually we lended their voice to the escape room. So whenever possible, sometimes we really use ideas of people and even their game ideas or even their names in the escape room.
So if someone has an idea from our listeners or whatever, who should they send it to?
I think there's an email address called everythingispossible@thegreens.online, or
Perfect.
or otherwise they can reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn or on my company website, Living Story.
Okay, perfect. No, that's great. What I thought about when you told me about when we talked about immersion and context, whatever, and what are you already working with technology like, for example, voice, so Echo, Alexa? So couldn't that be another way to bring the experience now into the living rooms?
That is something we are thinking about.
Sure.
We really have to test the margin of error there, because we cannot influence how you will talk to your Alexa. But very exciting possibilities there, of course, especially in the escape room area. If you really can talk to someone who's there and they can talk back, that's very interesting.
That's true. I've heard about an app a few months ago already from the US. If you open that and then start reading a narrative to your kid, the app is automatically adding some kind of background noises to it. So if you say, "Hey, it was a rainy day," then suddenly rain comes to Alexa's playing rain, that kind of stuff. It's adding to the experience. It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, I think you can do so much, and we are living in such a visual world right now that people forget the impact of sounds and storytelling and voice. They're incredible.
Yeah.
I really love it when we can do, like we did in the 80s, we did the text-based adventures, There were no visuals on your screen. It's like a storybook in your head, and I really love that.
Yeah, definitely. Have you played these roll and paper games? Pen and
What
paper
kind of,
games. Sorry, pen and paper games. Dungeons and
it,
Dragons.
no, I haven't.
No? Okay, because that was the time before computers where we had these role-playing games. And that was also an amazing the tabletop experience with all the people together. So now, was that the Greens? Was that the first of its kind of escape rooms? So because the whole private home escape rooms that you created?
Well, that I created. Of course, you have escape rooms that you can play at home, or escape room games.
Yeah.
Like where I live in the Netherlands, I know we have the escape room for home and exit games, and some of them are quite good and quite entertaining, but they're because they're really aimed at people who love playing those kinds of games. They're quite difficult to do. As in, I would love to play them with a group of friends, but you couldn't play those with your kids.
Yeah.
Um,
So is that a niche now? So are you going? Was it a once in a lifetime product now? Are you going to release perhaps during the Corona quarantine more, or is it even if you say you found a new market where even if the crisis is over, you're perhaps keeping focused on online home escape rooms for families?
Yeah, well, that would really depend on the engagement, right?
Okay.
So it's it was very great. It gave us something to do in the last week. It was very fun to do under high pressure. And if like 100,000 of people are playing the escape room, it's really we might look into it and create more adventures.
Yeah.
And if after today only 3 people have played it, then we should say, okay, this was a lovely adventure and it kept some people entertained. And maybe it's not. So it's really directed by, of course, the consumers, by people who play it or not.
Sure, but also it can be an amazing product, but unfortunately it failed to get the attention during these times and so on. It's not just by because only a few people played it that it's a shitty product or whatever.
No, no, no. But I think a lot of great products are made that are not played by people somehow. But if you want to make it a viable business, then of course that's also part of the equation, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So okay, so one metric of course could be the downloads that you can measure. Is there anything? Is there a way where we can how you're trying to track engagement or the experience or rating or what can we do for you?
No, the only thing that we can do is the feedback that we get from the field and people playing. And for now,
Via email, then.
via email or whatever means, people posting this on Facebook or wherever they play, hey, I played the greens online and I thought it was terrific, or I thought it missed this and this. We love all feedback. The most important thing is now we wanted to do something for all those families that are at home.
Yeah.
Turn it into a very commercial business is not our primary aim. But if
I
people are
know.
happy to like it, then we really would look into it because we love making escape rooms.
I know that was just the entrepreneur talking. Okay,
Of
about this
course.
stuff. So if people are going to post it, whatever, on social media or trying, how should they tag you? So is there the Greens Facebook page or
Not yet. We were so busy just developing the
sure?
game. But we could have that up in hours, of course. That would be no problem.
So
But
so that,
as long as they share the link to the site, that would be great. That would be thegreens.online.
okay, the Greens dot online. Perfect, great. Michael, it's such a pleasure every time talking to you. I have the last time when we met in Berlin, it was just for one day, so I hope we can repeat that very soon.
Yes.
Actually, we tried to meet in Amsterdam, but yeah, thanks Corona, that didn't happen. So
Yes.
we'll try to repeat that. Um, Perfect. Thanks so much for yeah letting us know about the greens. Thanks so much for doing all the work within this short period of time, and probably that's I. So just thinking about our family and thinking about how we have to find ways every day. How can we entertain our kids? How can we challenge them? Not just entertain them by letting them consume something, but by making it an experience together in the best case. That's so valuable nowadays. So thanks so much, and we will. Okay, my kids are too young, but we will definitely try it somehow. Let's see.
Please do.
Yeah, and then adjust it. Michael, thanks. Greetings to your family. Also, thank them for doing all the work.
And have a great weekend.
You
Thank you,
too.
everyone, for listening and watching. And till next time.
Exactly. Stay safe, guys. Ciao.